Anybody know the answer to the question? See, sir? Sir? Answer? Sir? Oh, didn't see you there. How are you doing? So I'm an expert in virtual worlds, and today I'll be talking to you about the use of virtual worlds. What are the advantages and disadvantages, and how can we use it in an educational sense? Come, take a walk with me. So what exactly is a virtual world? Simply put, a virtual world is an environment on an online platform in which users can interact with each other.
Students can enroll in a course and can set up discussions and meetings in an online environment. People can use virtual worlds to increase their knowledge by virtually attending classes, taking virtual field trips to museums or virtual libraries, flight simulations, help pilots and military trainees prepare for extreme conditions in the air that isn't usually encountered while physically training. In this way, when they do encounter it, they are well equipped. Finally, Second Life residents can interact with scientists from NASA on their island, Explore Island.
Virtual worlds can be used at any time or everywhere as long as there's a computer that can support the virtual world. Through the use of Second Life, avatars get a sense of the culture that encompasses different locations, which in the real world would be costly. Example, monumental landmarks and architecture in Rome. There are no restrictions to using virtual worlds as a learning tool due to not being able to physically attend. Like mentioned earlier, learners do not necessarily have to pay to explore and educate themselves on the virtual world. Second Life has a multilingual platform which allows avatars to view informational content in their desired language. If a resident is interacting with objects in an environment, these can allow for information to be translated into an alternate provided language. This environment provides a teacher and students with an interactive, unique platform which facilitates bilateral communication. This allows students the opportunity to enforce the framework of pedagogy.
Avatars have no restriction into entering some adult worlds, and thus children underage may pose as overage children and have access to inappropriate content. Whilst using a virtual world for educational purposes, people can become easily distracted by their surroundings and become consumed by what they can accomplish in virtual worlds in an entertainment context rather than an educational one. Logging into virtual worlds is somewhat insecure due to the fact that users only need to present a username and password, easily hacked due to poor security protocols that is in place. In the case of servers being down, is prohibiting the underlying principle of virtual worlds known as ubiquitous learning. Before attempting to use a virtual world to commence with studies, a student firstly needs to become literate and learn how to adapt and use virtual worlds. Because of large amounts of data being processed at the time where you're using virtual worlds, it endures a heavy cost both of monetary resources and of computing resources. A machine with higher processing power may be required. So first and foremost, in order to facilitate educational learning in virtual worlds, we need to ensure that our computers meet the requirements of that virtual world. For example, Second Life requires the use of Windows 7 or above and at least 1 GB of internal memory. Due to high bandwidth usage, network capabilities such as stable broadband internet is simply a must. Another guideline to follow is that lecturers should be trained to assist students who have operating issues in virtual worlds. Therefore, they can tackle and solve any problems that may occur. They should also provide the students with online step-by-step tutorials in order to assist learning. Besides all of this, they should also have supporting communication platforms such as forums, Twitter, maybe posts on Edmodo or Moodle, and Facebook pages set up. These should have useful links to educational islands that students can then visit and increase their knowledge on a certain aspect. Lastly, it is important to remember that pedagogy is not meant to replicate real-life activities in education, but rather used to facilitate and enhance the learning experience. Sir, are you sleeping again, sir? I give you the virtual world and you still sleep. Who needs sleep when you have the virtual world?